I don't have an eye for it. I just can't put things together like that. First of all, did you get out the door with an outfit on today? That's putting something together. Decorating is much the same. But design is based on science. And so those are principles that, despite the fact you might be out of school, that you can learn. They're skills. I am not the most artistic person. Design skills can be taught. You can be taught to draw. You can be taught to draft. And you can be taught to have an eye for things out there. Today I want to share 4 principles or rules of design that actually make sense, that they teach in design school, that will help you make your space better. It'll make it look better. It'll make it function better. The principles or rules of interior design are all over the internet. Problem is, you don't know which ones actually make sense. So the first principle of design is paying attention to the space, its attributes, the flow, the measurements, the way the space works and who it's going to work for. That's gathering your information. That's doing your homework, figuring out what you want, what you need, how it's going to work, how are you going to make accommodations for what is existing, what's in your budget, all of those things. It's making a plan for your design overall from start to finish, taking into consideration the people and the space that are going to use it. When you think about the people who are going to use the space, you're getting into ergonomics. And ergonomics is basically the study of how people use things most efficiently, how many steps to the stove, how many steps to the fridge, that kind of things. Became popular, ergonomics, with carpal tunnel and everyone's sitting wrong. When we look at how we use a space, Walt Disney was a crazy ergonomic designer. You know this if you've been to Disney World, because he manipulates our senses in the space. The story goes, he decided how far apart the garbage pails were based on a study they did where they removed all the garbage pails and they studied people, how far they would walk. And people would, on average, take 30 steps before they would drop garbage on the ground. So if you go to Disney World, there's a garbage pail every 30 steps. I like the other story that said Walt Disney got a hot dog and it took him 30 steps till he was finished, and that's where he wanted a pail. I think that's a better story. In design, we know this from the golden triangle or the kitchen triangle, where it's 3 to 5 steps to each major work zone in a kitchen. And that can vary based on the people that are using it, the size of the space, and what's going to happen in the space. What kind of cooking? How many cooks? Leonardo was famous for this. The 5 to 3, the circle, the seashell, the human form. We are all based on mathematical ratios. And so is good design. There's a formula called the golden ratio, or the perfect great room formula. And it's the 5 to 3 ratio, just like Leonardo. I think it's 1.6 times the height of the ceiling, 2.6 times the length, gives you the perfect size for your great room. Now, I did not use this when I designed my old living room, but when I checked it with the math, it works out perfectly. Sometimes we don't know it, but we know when it feels right. And there are formulas that you can double check. All of those kinds of things are part of the first strategy of design that's going to make you a better designer. When you think about the people and how they're going to use it, you get a way better design. It doesn't matter what colors you pick. It matters that it functions better. All right, number 2 is all about color. And if you haven't heard of color theory and all the studies on how color affects us, it does. Light and color affect our productivity, our sleep, and our happiness. Warm colors are going to be more active, more make you hungry, more warm and inviting. Cool colors are going to be more relaxing, more soothing, more go to sleep. Blues and greens, orange and reds. You get the idea. Sometimes the effects of color on us are not as obvious to our brain as they are to our eyes. It's easy to talk about it, but in reality, sometimes we don't get it. I walked into a client's house and she had this room that was orange oak floors, orange oak trim, orange oak doors, built-ins, orange everywhere. It was like being inside a pumpkin. And she said, I hate this room. The orange is everywhere. But redoing all the woodwork wasn't in the budget. And I looked around the room, and the first thing that I saw was pops of blue everywhere. And if you know anything about the color wheel, orange and blue are on opposite sides. So if you want the orange to stand out, put its enemy right next to it. Bam. Take the blue out of that room, put in some oranges, some cream, some rust, some soothing colors on the same side of the color wheel, and that color starts to go away and be minimized. A color fix could be as simple as that. If you want soothing, stay on the same color palette. If you want to have something that pops or has a little bit more impact, use complementary colors, like a pop of a red pendant over an island in a green kitchen. When it comes to color, there's a lot of design rules out there, and one of them is the 60-30-10. You'll hear 70-30, look at the math there, or I've heard 80-20, whatever. What it is a ratio of colors you use in the room. So the 60-30-10 is the one that's most accepted by professional designers. Start with the main color, and that's 60% of the color in the room. You add 30% of another color, and you add a 10% pop. Your flooring and color and a pop of this ratio is a general guideline for you to get the right amount of contrast and harmony in the room with color. And you can play with this, get your color wheel out there, have some fun. All right, number 3 is light. Light, light, light. Light, light is everything. Here's why: you can't see anything else if you don't have light. I've talked about lighting in a lot of other videos. If you want to watch, I'll link them however you do that. But here's the deal. When it comes to lighting, you want to decide the function of the light first. You want to choose the temperature of the light. So whether you want warmer, which is lower Kelvin, or cooler light, which is higher Kelvin, 4,000 and above, 4,000 and under, somewhere around there, 3,500. You have to try it in your space because the colors you have on the wall will affect the light. Now, color and light are very much the same for our brain. They affect how we feel, our energy levels are, how our sleep levels are. So it's really important that you get the color temperature right, function, the layout, and you layer it. You use more than one type of light. If you don't know what the types of lighting are, task, ambient, and accent. So something that helps you work, something that lights the general area, and something that accents architectural features or your path. You need to have layers of light in order for it to have depth and to read better, to look nicer, to show off the stuff that you picked out. So lighting is number 3. Let's move on. Those are my rules. Number 4 is about the layout, or what we know as symmetry, asymmetry, or radial design. And these are principles that they do teach in school because it's so important to us. We crave symmetry, and the reason for that is because it gives us control. We know exactly where things should be. Most people out there want symmetry because it gives us a sense of predictability. We know what's coming. This is on this side, this is on that side. The second way we can lay things out is asymmetrical, and that's where one side carries more weight or it seems imbalanced. But good asymmetrical design is never out of balance. It just uses negative space or other things to balance it visually, if it's done well. It's the hardest one to get. And radial design is where you radiate out from a center. So when you have a round dining room, a radial window, or you get the idea. You don't see as much radial design, I think, because people don't have the room for it. It takes up a lot of space to have clearance all the way around a round room. When it comes to symmetry, people will force it, even when it doesn't work. Sometimes we have to embrace asymmetry because it is the most sophisticated of all the design styles because it's the hardest to get right. You know when you see a photograph and it's got so much white space and there's just this silhouette of something off in the distance, it carries so much more weight because of the counterbalance of the white and the darkness. It's the same idea with an asymmetrical design, so be daring. Having an eye for design is half science and half art. So if you get the science down, you're halfway there. You got a halfway decent eye, you can put an outfit together, you're 75% of the way to a great design. Refine the skills that you can teach yourself, and the rest comes naturally. Or you hire a designer. We spend a third of our lives at home, so you want to make it work for you. It's important to your emotional, your physical, and your mental well-being that it work right. So if you hate your space, get out there and buy a can of paint. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching.